Let's bring in Elbridge Colby from Washington. Thanks for being with us. Let's discuss this extraordinary situation with the Chinese spy balloons, these other objects. What is your verdict as to, is it really China for all of these objects? And
what is going on here?
What is going on here? This is a bit of a shock to everybody. It's a massive wake-up call. What are they trying to do?
Well, there's a lot of questions in there. The first balloon is definitely a Chinese surveillance balloon, a massive balloon. It's the size of three American football fields, apparently, the balloon, as well as the actual thing he was carrying is size of a couple buses in American parlance. So it's very significant. The other ones, apparently, we don't know yet. I was watching John Kirby this morning, the White House spokesman on national security issues, and he was saying they haven't even recovered much of it. Now, a lot of the technically unidentified flying objects have been brought down in some pretty inhospitable places in Alaska and Canada's Yukon.
Elbridge, we've got a clip of a US general with his own thoughts on this that I think we can watch now.
I haven't ruled out anything at this point. We continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with the attempt to identify it.
Wow. I mean, what do you think to that, Elbridge? Is this for real?
Well, I think he's being careful. I think that if you were putting your prudent money down, the Chinese have initiated an enormous, world-spanning, and particularly U.S. and Asia, spanning South America, balloon surveillance and other kinds of sort of platforms that we may not know about. I think you're right, though, that this is a real wake-up call to the American people, and I think it's very important that British and European audiences really understand that China is felt to be, across the political spectrum, increasingly the primary threat to Americans' interests, and that is going to have implications, including for our policy in Europe over time.
Elbridge, is it your instinct that all of these unidentified objects their origins are from Beijing, or are you more open-minded than that? First question. And second question, I'm just a bit intrigued as to why it's taking so long to recover any of the debris. Of course, I understand that these objects were flying over, in many cases, frozen wasteland. That does seem a strange place to carry out a surveillance operation. But I wouldn't have thought it would be beyond the powers of your intelligence military people to have recovered something more by now. Can you shed any light on that?
Well, I am open-minded on your first question. I think it's probable that it was, or at least the most likely explanation is that they're originated from China, but I don't think it's impossible they originated, say, from Russia or even maybe North Korea, or even that they're potentially private companies, platforms collecting things. I think we are taking a different attitude towards unidentified flying objects that are entering our territorial airspace than we were even a month ago. Okay. On the second one, I mean, General Dunham would know more than I, but, this very demanding operations to recover things underwater. I mean, we're having trouble, or it's taking some time recovering the original balloon, which is off the Carolinas, which is balmy compared to Lake Huron, let alone the Arctic Ocean.
Dr. Leivesley, can you give us your insight into what you think is going on here? Why now, for a start?
Well, it's not why now, now it's been understood. And what we're seeing is America waking up to the fact that there's, in a way, been a Trojan horse campaign by the Chinese have admitted that it's been their balloon. But that type of program that the Americans have announced tonight that the Chinese have been doing has been using what is a Trojan horse. It looks very simple, but the level of surveillance should be taken very seriously.
And specifically, what do you think they are looking for? And is this just the beginning? Are they over Europe as we speak?
The way in which we should look at them is in associating with the new weapons. Now, what China and Russia and North Korea have in abundance are new forms of weapons which are highly manoeuvrable, super fast. By the time you see them, they've got you. Now, these balloons going over the missile sites in America may be helping the Chinese to practice a new form of entry targeting to destroy those missile sites.
OK, so hang on. You're saying that they are going where they've been brought down, that is proximate to missile or military sites or installations? Because I hadn't heard that before.
What we were told with the announced Chinese spy balloon, announced by the Americans, denied by the Chinese, is that there were was a movement over one of the major missile silo sites in
now
America.
That makes sense. What about the other ones?
The other ones, I think we should look at it's like space debris.
Right.
Until they have been found, everyone puts balloons up for various reasons.
Oh.
But the fact that there is a program, the Americans now understand that America homeland, as we should understand as a nuclear nation here, will be being targeted, and these close to the ground, highly capable surveillance balloons may not just be communications, but may be doing the potential targeting that a new nuclear weapon may use in the future.
You're inferring that we should expect the same sort of spy balloons being over the UK and Europe, I think.
We may infer that if other countries have had them, but the main thing is to assume yes, and the answer is there's more close surveillance of potential sites than we may have assumed.
Let's bring General Dannett back in, if I may. Can I ask you whether you think that it is likely that these unidentified objects may be over European or even UK airspace? And if so, do we actually have the capability to down them in the way that the Americans have done?
I'm quite sure that that kind of surveillance is very widespread. But I think let's put it in the context of, yes, of course, China you can describe as a threat, but I would actually describe China as a very aggressive competitor. So it's trying to get information it can convert into intelligence that it can use to its own advantages. Now, your last speaker was saying, of course, these could be conducting surveillance operations over nuclear missile silos. But that's really why it's so important that the United States and the United Kingdom has got continuous at-sea underwater deterrence. We've got submarines. No one knows where those submarines are. You can fly as many balloons as you like over the United States, over the United Kingdom, but when our submarines are under the water, you don't know where they are. So our nuclear assured deterrence is very much in place. So I think we've got to see this in the broadest sense of the Chinese trying to compete with us for information, intelligence, for their own advantage.
Indeed. So thank you very much, General Dannett, and for our guest from Washington and also from Sally Leivesley. Thanks for that. I mean, I find this all honestly quite scary.
It's amongst the scariest things that we can sort of think of.
Yeah, I mean, these UFOs, it seems odd to think that it's happened so suddenly. And what I don't feel I've completely got a grip on is the extent to which they've been floating around lots of these things and we're only just noticing them, or is there a sudden escalation now?
And I have to say, I'm pretty sceptical that we've got the ability to both spot and deal with them in the way that the Americans have got.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to think that we could leap into the air and down them, but yeah.
Well, let's see.